Hey, I'm Benon. One of the many wonders of the internet are the free games. People spend hours, days, even years of their lives to create something and put it on the internet for everyone to enjoy. Most of it is trash, but some of it can truly be special. Games like Cry of Fear, Doki Doki Literature Club, or Raid Shadow. I want to talk about one of these games. I want to talk about If on a Winter's Night for Travelers. The game is free, it's gorgeous, and the story is good. Play it, and then come back and watch the video. Please watch the video. Now with the intro out of the way, let's start. Our journey starts on a train speeding through the night. A woman in a skeleton mask sits in the train cart as a confused young man stumbles by. The woman senses the man's agitation and asks if something is wrong. The man is not agitated, but confused. He has no memory how he got on the train. The last thing he remembers is that he was in a hotel room in Rome, waiting for his paramour. Act 1, the silent room. The man is waiting for his paramour, Patrick. We can pick up a letter and read it. My shooting star, thrilled to see you. Please check in at the Grand Roma. Everything is taken care of. We'll be there around noon. Love, P. Patrick is clearly a very wealthy man. A hotel room looking out over Rome is probably nothing the average person during the 20s could afford. Fancy rugs, minibar, gramophone. There is also a big erotic painting hanging over the bed. Because why not? The man got Patrick some flowers with a card saying his one and only. We head towards the bathroom to freshen up. He remarks that the towel costs more than he makes in a month, again showing us that Patrick is loaded. He looks in the mirror and calls himself lucky. He hit the jackpot. That Patrick could be the one. He even considers what it would be like to come out to his mother. Homosexuality was illegal in most countries at the time, so you can imagine how hard and dangerous coming out to anyone would be. Exiting the bathroom, the buzzer rings. We open the door, and Patrick comes in and embraces us. This is when we get to know that this guy's name is Carlo. We exchange formalities, and then Carlo jokes with Patrick about the painting above the bed. Carlo is clearly trying to get some action.
I'm feeling romantical.
But Patrick blows him off, opting for a drink instead. There are dialogue options in the game, but they all lead to the same ending, so I'm just going to act like my options and what I picked was the canon choices. After fixing some drinks and music, Carlo extremely subtly tells Patrick to look at the flowers he got him, and it came with a card. This is when the mood shifts. Patrick says that they can't keep the relationship going. Carlo responds with, "Why don't you like me anymore?" Patrick basically says it's not like that. This was never meant to last. Please don't play dumb. Carlo is very obviously confused. I too would be confused if a person I had a sexual relationship with flew me to Italy, paid for a hotel room just to break up with me. Carlo pleads with him, saying, "I truly was starting to believe we were made for each other." Patrick, like a true fuckboy, goes, "Why though?" So Carlo goes to get the letter he sent to him to prove that Patrick did indeed lead him on. While reading the letter, technically a telegraph, but fuck it, a letter, he sees the phrase shooting star, and he begins to understand what he truly was to Patrick. Patrick sees Carlo as a shooting star, something beautiful, something bright in the dark, but also something that passes by, something that does not last. When confronting Patrick, asking if that's all Carlo was, or was it the Deuce, Mussolini, that put the fear of God in him, Patrick reassures him that this has nothing to do with Mussolini, but imagine the fucking side plot if it did. Patrick just says it's wrong. Carlo argues that the only thing wrong about this relationship is having to hide it. Patrick argues back that he has read multiple medical journals about homosexuality and that there are doctors that can help. There is even a new type of therapy that can cure them. He even encourages Carlo to do the same, that they can fix him too. Carlo begins to plead with him again, saying, "How can you say such things? Do you really hate yourself that much?" And Patrick counters that he can't feel anything towards Carlo. Patrick has a wife and kids, and he is a man, and this is what men do. After a bit more back and forth, Patrick says that this was a waste of time and gets up to leave. He asks us to call a cab for him, so being the bigger person, we do. We go back to Patrick for one last conversation. Patrick goes back to belittling us, saying he can't put up with Carlo's whining. He even pokes at Carlo, saying that he will pray that those lovely fellow townfolks of yours never figure you out. And Carlo, tired of having his heart broken, tired of getting belittled and upset by betrayal, lets out his emotions. Carlo kneels over Patrick's dead body. He gets up and here the phone rings. We can see how the room has changed just a small bit. The erotic painting went from depicting two lovers to a murder. Answering the phone, we get the backwards message that the cab we called is ready for us. But Carlo has completely disassociated at this point. He has no idea what he was doing. We head to the bathroom. Carlo washes his face and reflects on what just happened. He says he's sorry, but he will make it up to Patrick. He promises. We walk out of the bathroom and there's a light shining down on a mask and a letter on the bed. It's an invitation to a masked ball. Carlo accepts the invitation. The next thing you know, I'm here in this train with a drink in my hand. This is the end of Act 1. The Silent Room is a story about two gay men during the 1920s and how they deal with society not accepting them. Carlo sees nothing wrong with the way he's feeling. He desperately hopes for a better world where he and Patrick can be accepted for who they are. While Patrick, most likely because of internalized homophobia, tries to forcibly change their sexuality to better fit in with society. He reads papers, trying to find answers. He even goes as far as willing to try conversion therapy. Conversion therapy, if you don't know, is a pseudo-scientific practice that tries to change a person's sexuality to fit with the cisgender norms. They do this by basically torturing you. Electroshock therapy, hypnosis, and even lobotomy/brain surgery. It also does not fucking work. I don't know why, but reading about this just kind of reminds me of that one gay Mormon show where the husbands can't accept they're gay. It's fucking sad, man. However, I do feel like there is a part of Patrick that does truly care about Carlo. Patrick cares enough to recommend Carlo going to therapy too, so they can be cured together. And only after Carlo rejects that idea is when Patrick becomes hostile. Back on the train, a woman happens to overhear the conversation. She asks if she can sit down and explain that she can't find her husband. Her name is Valerie Winterbourne, and her husband is Henry Winterbourne. They say that they haven't seen him, and ask her when she last saw him. Turns out she has no idea, but she goes on to speak about the last thing she does remember. This is the start of Act 2, the slow vanishing of Lady Winterbourne. We wake up on a rainy day in a room. Inspecting items around the room gives us a bit more information about Valerie. For example, when inspecting her medicine, she comments that it keeps the nightmares away, but she's running out. And when inspecting the mirror, she turns around no matter where you are in the room and just says no. By walking over to the armoire? I have no idea how the fuck you say that word. By walking over to the thing or the window, we now get to know that she does not even know what day it is. After inspecting everything and trying to leave the room, she comments that she should put on a jacket. It might be chilly outside. And when we go back to the armoire thing to get a jacket, she just forgets. So by using our brains for more than 2 seconds, we can figure out that she probably suffers from short-term memory loss. So we try to go back to bed, but not before taking our medicine. A letter shoots out from under our door. And reading the letter, it's a condolence letter from another lord. Valerie thinks this is some kind of joke and rips it to shreds and goes on to find the maid. When walking towards the other door, she can hear how people are talking through the door. And by picking up a glass and placing it against the wall, we can hear the conversation. They're talking about Valerie's medicine consumption. That just so happens to be laudanum. The maid says that she hasn't refilled the medicine in days with the hope of Valerie cutting back. She also says that the rest of the medicine is locked in the back of the cabinet downstairs, so Valerie can't access it. More and more letters are arriving and the rumors are bound to spread, so Valerie needs to regain her strength. Valerie is extremely upset that they're hiding her medicine and that she will confront them about it tomorrow. In case you don't know, laudanum is a highly addictive narcotic used for pain relief. So again, by thinking for more than 2 seconds, Valerie has become an addict. Heading back to the bedroom and taking the medicine, we see exactly what it makes Valerie feel. The world transforms from a dark and grey landscape to a vibrant, cheerful world, and her mood also changes. She can look at herself in the mirror and she is a lot less agitated. You can even play the harp. By inspecting the portrait, we also get to meet another family member called Lord Socks, the cat. Looking out the window, Valerie comments that she's waiting for Henry to come home and that he should be here any minute now. Leaving the room and going into the corridor, we can now inspect the paintings on the wall. The paintings depict several family members and it becomes very obvious that Valerie comes from old money. Trying to head down the staircase, Valerie becomes dizzy, forgetting why she was going to go downstairs. So we head back to her room. The medicine is out of her system and the world goes back to grey. Valerie makes it to the bed, but you can see that it clearly takes a large toll on her. Valerie stands by the window, staring out. Another letter has arrived. Reading it, it's another condolence letter, as well as an offer to buy a vase that they own, due to her dire situation. The letter also contains a marriage proposal. Valerie is outraged, and again goes to find the maid. She sees the vase the letter was talking about buying and smashes it to pieces. We then head back downstairs in search for more medicine, because we couldn't get a hold of a maid. Because the cabinet is locked, we pick up a fire poker and we smash our way into it. Taking the medicine again, the world transforms. And this is when I went insane. I spent around 20 minutes trying to figure out this puzzle. And don't get me wrong, the soundtrack is good, but listening to this happy-go-lucky song while slowly getting more and more angry because I could not figure this shit out had me feeling like Daryl from The Walking Dead. What you're supposed to do is play records in the study in a specific order that matches Valerie and Henry's vacations. Heading back to our room, the medicine wears off again and Valerie collapses onto the bed. Later we can see how Valerie's walk has altered. She's more hunched over like a feral animal. We head downstairs, but not before calling our grandfather and inbred. Why do you think she was heading downstairs? That's right, drugs. Valerie reads another condolence/proposal letter and goes to find the maid again. We enter a new room and the music starts going haywire. We remark that the big grandfather clock is stuck at 3. Reading the close by newspaper, it's an article about Valerie and Henry's wedding. This is where we get a lot of vital information. Valerie is an heiress to a French jewelry empire, meaning that she does not only come from old money, she is of old elite, a fuck ton of money. Henry, the husband, on the other hand, was a lord in England, and there was also rumors that the Winterbourne family, Henry's family, had fallen on some hard time financially, and that he is only using Valerie for her family's money. But Valerie insists that this is a marriage of love and nothing else. So, Valerie has now moved to England to be with Henry in his family's mansion. Interacting with the clock, one last time before we leave, we get a clock key. So now what we have to do is interact with the statue/clock, and we have to match it to the one that is stuck at 3 o'clock. However, we find out in one of the books that these types of clocks are always 7 minutes early, late, behind, whatever. We put in 0253 and it works, and the grandfather clock magically starts working again. Valerie forgets what she's doing again and decides to go find the cat, Lord Socks, and we can now head to the conservatory. By interacting with different objects, we get little glimpses of past Valerie doing something. I honestly have no idea what the puzzle is here. I just clicked a bunch of stuff and managed to get it working. It leads to us finding something in the water, but we can't pick it up empty-handed, so we get an umbrella and fish out whatever it is. it's Lord Socks. Valerie rushes off to find help, and we get another glimpse of past Valerie reading a newspaper, but it's not the same one as before. This is an article about the tragic passing of Henry Winterbourne. He passed due to Lord Socks suddenly appearing in the middle of the street while he was driving. He swerved to avoid hitting the cat, but it ended up costing his life. Valerie can't believe this. He is upstairs right now. He's in his study, so let's go meet him. As we get closer and closer to his study, the medicine's effects slowly fades. We enter the study and find it empty, but Valerie doesn't really see that. She sees the painting of her husband and imagines it's him. She confesses that she did something terrible and that he didn't deserve it, and that it hurt so much that he left her, that she had terrible dreams, and that the medicine is what keeps him alive in her mind, and she just needs one last sip. We head back down the stairs, and we find an invitation and a mask. Valerie accepts the invitation. And I was expecting Henry to meet me here, yet I can't seem to find him. This is the end of Act 2. The slow vanishing of Lady Winterbourne is exactly what the title entails. It's a story of a woman slowly dying due to grief and drug addiction. Valerie clearly loved her husband very much, and his passing caused her to drown her feelings any way possible. It also highlights the obsession with money of the social class around her. People send her condolences and marriage proposals in the same letter, showing absolutely no empathy to her situation. She is the heiress to a vast fortune, and because she is a woman living in the 1920s, most of the people sending her letters are probably men trying to exploit her in order to gain access to the jewelry empire that her family built. She reminisces about better days, and when she is high out of her mind, she can't even remember that her husband is dead. Speaking of the death of her husband, Valerie must have killed her cat in a fit of rage. Yes, she loved the cat, but it also took her husband away from her. So she drowned the cat. She knows she acted out of rage and that the cat didn't deserve it because, well, it's an animal. It didn't know any better, but she was just so angry and sad. You must also remember that she was originally from France and moved to England for Henry. She has no family in England. She probably has no friends. And the only people around her are people she has currently employed. The one person in that country that she cared about and that she knew cared about her is gone. And her loneliness is emphasized even further by being part of the social elite, clearly just trying to take advantage of her. I believe that Valerie's loneliness is what truly killed her. Back on a train, a new person has joined the conversation. Dr. Jordan Samuels. He says he is in the same boat as the others, as he has zero recollection of how he got on the train. He also says that he has tried talking to other travelers, but no one seems bothered by it. Jordan has a feeling that they shouldn't be there, they don't belong there, and when questioned further, he begins telling his story. This starts Act 3, the Nameless Ritual. Jordan is participating in an operation theater, and before we go into that, I have always found operation theaters such an incredible set piece for some reason. It feels so oppressive. People looming over you, watching you work on a corpse is for some reason insanely intriguing to me. It reminds me of like the best mission in Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Yes, I actually like that game. Either way, back to the story. Jordan is clearly a very skilled doctor, but cannot get a single word out without being berated by the rest of his class. This is because of his skin color. They throw some racist jokes his way and everybody laughs. One guy says that he bets Jordan is stealing from the infirmary, and the nurse actually confirms that there have been supplies gone missing. The confirmation that supplies have gone missing is all the audience needs to demand Jordan to be thoroughly investigated. This causes Jordan to panic. It cuts to Jordan sitting in his apartment, an incredibly small room, and judging from the small window above, at the corner, it is most likely a basement apartment. We also get to know that he lives in New York. Jordan is a doctor and should in fact earn well than enough money to get a nice apartment, but I imagine he simply can't get a hold of a better apartment, probably because most landlords at the time refused to have a black man as a tenant. Jordan speaks of nightmares he has, but those don't matter because today is the 33rd day and the night that he can do the ritual, and soon those morons will see what he is truly capable of. Interacting with the jacket on the bed, we find out that it was actually Jordan who had stolen medical supplies from the hospital, but he did this in order to help out the next door neighbors suffering from tuberculosis, and that he just wants the man to feel relief, but for a moment. Going out into the corridor, Miss Williams answered, and we can hear Mr. Williams coughing in the background. She explains that his state has worsened. Jordan apologizes for this, feeling guilt, a sort of responsibility that he can't help and cure him. Miss Williams simply responds with putting her hands on his face and says, "God bless him, he's a good man." We head back to the apartment and the ritual can begin. The ritual is supposed to summon a guardian, and if you face it with courage and no fear, it will make your wish come true. This was another puzzle that took me way too long, because I missed that I could click on one of the books, so I spent another 20 minutes walking back and forth putting plants. Either way, what you're supposed to do is put the right plant in the right bowl. You then take a dagger, you cut your chest, your hand, and your cock. Jordan enters the circle. The mirror turns black, no guardian appears, but a gate has opened, and we can now enter the mirror. We walk into a reflection of our apartment, but this one looks like a cave with a person clinging onto a wall. I don't know if it's intentional, but this reminded me a lot of the movie Annihilation, a sci-fi movie with Natalie Portman, where everything looks like it was made by something that only understands shapes, but does not understand what anything truly is, leading it to create something that reminds you of that original object. I hope that made sense. Jordan approaches the figure on the wall. No matter what we ask it, we pretty much get no information, well, except that this is some kind of crossroads. Jordan is frustrated. He obviously did everything right, so why is there no guardian here? By grabbing the lantern the figure is holding and walking to the corner, the shadows blocking our path disappears. Walking out to the corridor, we get this overgrown mess. There are ulcers on the wall, giving us the idea that whatever this place is, it could be alive somehow. And we're checking on Mr. and Mrs. Williams. This happens. We keep going down the stairwell, which leads us to a flooded room full of bookcases. After wandering around, we eventually meet some type of snail creature ignoring us, and it's writing something. It's writing about Jordan's life, but something is missing. What we have to do is pick up books from around the room so we can give it to the creature. This is when we get further information about Jordan. The first book we pick up lets us know that Jordan had a partner called Eunice that he abandoned in order to go to New York. The second book, we get a picture of Jordan as a baby, but he has never seen these pictures before. The third book, read about the day he got accepted into Chicago's College of Medicine, a super proud moment of his that made him feel like he was made for greatness, but that came to a screeching halt. And lastly, we get to know about his time in the army, being part of the Harlem Hellfighters, and that one day they stormed a village that was getting bombed and they lost a lot of men. We head back to the creature and give him all the books. Jordan is now on a field. There are dead soldiers along with horses on the ground, and a plank going over a trench leading to a destroyed church. Speaking with the priest, it turns out he is the guardian. He explains that we will get our way, but only if we take full responsibility of our actions. And years ago, Jordan didn't. We now have the chance to make up for that mistake, and we can free ourselves. We see soldiers appear before us, and we're supposed to free them. The one closest to us has been blinded by shrapnel, and his hands have also been blown off, but he is still clinging to a pillow. He seems erratic, and we can't really communicate with him. By talking to the second soldier, we get more information. His legs have been blown off, and he is waving a pistol around. He has been waiting for a long time. All he wants is a bullet so he can put himself out of his misery. And by talking to him, we find out that Shane is the name of the previous man, and that he keeps reliving the same painful moment over and over and over again. We also find out that the third person laying on the stretcher over there is Jim, and he can't communicate even if he wanted to. All he sees is black. Inspecting the man further, we make the conclusion that he stepped on a landmine, and by talking to him a bit more, we find out his name is Luke. By going over to Jim, we can see that he is in a barely conscious state and that his jaw has been shot off. He's also bleeding from his stomach, so he must have fell on something sharp when he got shot. So, what is the puzzle and how do we solve it? Well, we have to put all these men out of their misery. We do this by getting some pills that Shane can overdose on, so we can get a pillow so we can smother Jim, and Jim had bullets that we can give to Luke. We have now freed them, and we can enter the confession booth. Going into the confession booth, Jordan speaks with Guardian. He feels nothing. Empty, even though he has killed 3 men. And the Guardian reassures him that it's okay, but that he has one last trial ahead of him. We have been transported back to the operation theater. This is our last trial. We must repeat what the people are saying, and with each phrase, we peel back one layer. I have given my mind to the waters. I have co-signed my soul to the flame. I now surrender my flesh to the blade, and I offer my blood to the mirror. And with one last cut, we are back in the apartment, and there he stands, waiting for us. He calls us a hollow husk right before. The mirror opens again, but we cannot cross without our invitation. We grab it and enter the mirror once again. I remember nothing after that. This is the end of Act 3. The Nameless Ritual is the act that is left mostly to interpretation, so here's mine. Jordan is a black man during the 1920s and is being constantly ridiculed by his peers. He tries to find fulfillment in the occult. I believe that he did not make a mistake and that this is how the ritual is intended to go. The ritual tests you to see if you have the courage and if you can truly take the responsibility of your actions. I also believe that Jordan failed immediately. Jordan clearly feels a lot of guilt and fear due to not being able to save everyone around him. So, I think by not being able to save or even confront Mr. Williams, he failed the courage part of the ritual. The nightmare version of Miss Williams even screams and says that he killed Mr. Williams, while we know that the real version would never say such a thing, which probably reflects how Jordan views the situation. He also failed the courage part when he's in the confession booth. He got scared because he did not feel like he should have felt killing the men. And the flooded bookcase room could be the ritual gathering information about who Jordan is, so he can later be confronted with what he considers being his sins. It could sort through his memories and pick the most painful ones. It just happened to choose the people he weren't able to save during his employment in World War I. And it did have quite a few options, like clearly not being close to his family, or breaking the love of his life's heart, and the fear of never amounting to something greater. I think the husk is what Jordan sees himself like. He does not think highly of himself, and he is nothing like he expects himself to be. And when confronting the husk, he gets violent, which, at least according to me, means that he killed himself during the ritual. Now, for one last time, back on the train. Jordan still thinks this could be some sort of test, but the skeleton lady brushes it off. We then finally get to know that the skeleton lady's name is Layla, and that she has to talk with the conductor. When speaking with the conductor, we find out that Layla is not human. She just wants to hear their stories, even if that's not actually allowed. She says she wants to understand them, how they feel, the constant struggle, dying alone, and sometimes even by their own hand. The conductor reacts to dying by their own hand and comments that they shouldn't be in that part of the train. Layla has been meddling. She invited them personally to the front of the train, arguing that they didn't deserve it. They're just poor people. The conductor gets very upset by this and says they should be below. And Layla reassures him that it will never happen again, and she says that they are below, just a little less below. This is the end of If on a Winter's Night for Travelers. So what happened? Well, we're in hell, but this train seems to be the better part of hell. Layla seems to be some kind of demon, must have taken pity on Carlo, Valerie, and Jordan, and decided to bend the rules a bit. All the people we played as did commit suicide in one way or another, even if it wasn't intentional. Carlo by hanging, Valerie by overdose, and Jordan by a ritual gone wrong. And because in a lot of religious texts, people who commit suicide goes to hell, there they are. There are a few more things I would like to mention. One being the inspirations for the story. I looked up an interview where the creator says that the inspirations for the story came from a bunch of different media, like The King in Yellow, The Talented Mr. Ripley, and even real life experiences with substance addiction. I also bought the art book, and it also mentions things like Edgar Allan Poe, Robert W. Chambers, and Thomas Ligotti. And speaking of art, my god, this game is gorgeous. I am a huge fan of pixel art, and this is just beautiful. I especially love their use of negative space. It makes it feel like the room you're currently in is the only thing that exists in the world. It gives me a feeling of dread, and I think the best example of this in the game is the confession booth scene. Everything is just so full of detail, from the fancy hotel room to the luxurious mansion to the Lovecraftian environments of the ritual. It is all designed so beautifully around these characters. Play this game. It's worth every penny that you don't even have to spend because it's free. And if the creators of Dead Isle Games somehow watches this video and even made it to this part, your game is amazing. I can't wait for whatever you guys are cooking up next. Please make more. It's insane that you gave this out for free. These creators deserve a bigger budget, so I encourage everyone to go buy the support DLC on Steam. They are currently making a new game called The Many Sins of House Ocampo. Please support it. I have no idea how long this video will be. I've been recording for an hour, but thank you for watching if you made it this far. I am also in need of a new profile picture. I feel like a disoriented image of Nicolas Cage won't do anymore, so please comment and give me some suggestions. And if you like the video, please give it a like and subscribe. I might make more. Bye!